Hello, and welcome to the spoiler series for season 1. This is just a series of episodes that we have discussing, consolidating everything that we've discussed in the spoiler section. So we wanted to highlight it because there were some really great things that we've talked about. So we're glad you're here.
Don't forget to check out all of our different resources of our podcast. We have Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts. Just look up Sasageyo Podcast. You'll find it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have our Discord. So check that out. That's on our Instagram in the link tree.
Yeah.
Link. And so enjoy our spoiler section. Bye.
Whew, that was a close one. They almost got us.
You just spoiled it for everyone. No, I mean, people must have watched the next episode.
Everyone knows that Aaron's not dead.
Why would we have that? We literally spoiled it. We have it as how many times Mikasa says Aaron. So obviously he's going to keep living.
Yeah, imagine if we included that detail and it's like he dies episode 6.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, spoilers. So Aaron gives Mikasa the scarf that she has the entire show.
Uh-huh.
We know the significance of that scarf now, but she...
Especially at the end of the whole series when she's at the tree at the end and the bird comes.
And she's buried with it.
She's buried with
the scarf on. Yeah. That shows her. If you've watched to the end, like past the credits. Is that past the credits?
I think it's like during the credits.
Okay.
Or whatever.
What else?
So the whole scene with Mikasa like saving everyone and like the whole merchant. So the merchant comes back in season 3 as like a pretty upstanding gent for like the people, and like he reports like the facts, and he's like, and his son takes over his father's business and stuff like that.
A character arc right there.
I forget his whole his name and stuff like that, but like they're the merchant family and stuff like that. Okay. So that's kind of how that guy ties in later, and so they like reference that whole scene in season 3. Okay. And then the girl who Mikasa saves grows up to become a soldier. And so then when Mikasa in the final season 4, when Mikasa's in jail, that girl is now a soldier and is like, says like, you saved me that day.
I didn't remember that.
Ever since then I knew I wanted to become a soldier and stuff like that. So
whoa, I didn't know that. Okay,
cool.
Wow. There were some it's
good foreshadowing.
It's not really spoilers, but foreshadowing, I guess.
So yeah, that difference though, kind of moving forward to Mikasa in the cabin. In the anime, the mom just says they're like knitting, and Mikasa's like, I finished the design, and the mom is like,
why didn't they show that in the anime?
I don't know.
It's not like,
yeah.
I mean, they could have at least had her like wrapping her arm and not saying anything.
So
if they felt like that spoiled that much.
This is where I kind of feel like it might have, like, either the creator, like, I haven't done research on this, so maybe they did, like, the animators or, the directing company who animated this whole first season just probably figured, like, oh, this is something that it's not an important detail, we can kind of change it. Same aspects of, they've kind of done that so far of, like, the key design.
Or maybe they just wanted it to be more of a surprise or whatever.
Right.
Dramatize it.
Sure, because I do remember in season 4 when I'm forgetting the family. It's like the I know it ends with To. No, it's like Mikasa's like, she is the prince. She is the descendant of the heir to that Asian family that is like of high like royalty.
Mikasa's last name?
No.
Oh.
I forget the kingdom. I'm sorry, but. So she's a descendant of that, and they talk about that because the current ruler of that family comes to see Mikasa and is like, show me your right arm, and she has this brand on it.
Okay.
And so that's what happens in the manga is she just got branded. We never see the brand. I'm pretty sure it's just like an X, which is not that cool of a branding. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, so they brand Mikasa, and so that royal kind of says like, Mikasa, let's see this brand. That is the brand of the royal family. You are the heir to this throne. So, which I remember watching that for the first time being like, what the heck? Did they just include this detail? Like, we've never seen that mark on Mikasa.
Yeah, but at least in the manga, it says like, this is passed down from generation to generation. You will brand this on your children. So there's something there that you're like, there's obvious significance to it. And that there must be, I don't know, something in their family.
Right.
At least you get that.
Right. So, but yeah, Mikasa is half of this Asian royalty, and half the Ackermans who have the fight to protect the king. Which I am curious because they talk about this later. This is a long spoiler section that we're in. They talk about this later. Eren does that, like when he told her to fight, that it triggered her into that like,
that's why she
Ackerman
like
crazy
breaks the
fighting
floorboard.
Yeah, where she like gets into that crazy fighting skill, which I don't know, like I know Eren, I don't know if he was throwing out that detail to like get, because he also beats up Armin, and that's all in attempt to, I think, push them away, because he like Eren is like knows that he's going down a path and he wants to keep them safe, and he also wants them to kill him, so he's probably trying to make himself the enemy. But I don't know how valid that claim is of like, is Mikasa actually loyal to Eren out of misplaced loyalty, like that is supposed to go to the king but it goes to him. So I
feel like they end up talking about that, like why it's him, or he triggered that within her.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Okay, curious. So if you know that, tell us. So or we'll read it in the manga in like 70 episodes from now or whatever. So okay.
That
was a lot.
Yeah,
I feel like
it is a lot.
Yeah, I feel like we were not as prepared with this episode.
Yeah.
I think I tried to forget
it.
I think I tried to forget it because it was kind of traumatizing. But anyway, you know what we need to do? We always say the like our whatever Instagram, TikTok, and email at the end of the episode, but all the people who haven't watched the whole thing don't know it.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
because they leave for the spoilers. So we need to do that at the beginning. We'll do that next time.
Also, before I forget,
he's pointing at the camera.
Hopefully, this listener is still here. Shout out! I saved the name. Shout out to Mona_Cam 478 for just giving us a good little cheer on our YouTube episode 1.
We got a comment. We have I don't know how many views. 4
well
views.
at this time that you're listening to is a little different.
It could
but
be more, but
we appreciate you being one of the early listeners.
And encouragers.
We got
a comment. We got so excited. So thank you for that, and thank you for listening. Hopefully you're still listening to the end of the episode. Maybe we'll say it at the beginning. She said the next one. Also,
they said it was a good way to rewatch.
Okay, so hopefully that they've watched it all.
Yeah, right.
So any like conspiracies or connections that we've missed in these first 6 episodes, please send us something on either our TikTok, which is sasageyo.pod, and or our Instagram, which is also sasageyopod, or email us
at sasageyopod@gmail.com. We try to keep it consistent,
but that one doesn't have a dot.
No.
Okay, so sasageyopod@gmail.com. Any conspiracies, we'll give you a shout out and we'll talk about that. We want to start getting into, more spoilers and just connections and stuff.
Yeah. Fun stuff. Thanks for coming.
Our next 2 episodes, we're going to have a guest.
Yes.
And I'm very
excited
because it's always just us. So we get to have a guest and get their input and just their reaction.
Yeah.
of the next 2 episodes, and the next 2 episodes, 7 and 8, have major things happening in them. So they're good episodes to have a guest on.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're very excited. Okay.
And she also has been to Japan and went to this
she's been to Japan
Attack on Titan experience.
Yes, so she's going to tell us all about that, because we're going to Japan in May.
Yeah.
And we should go.
Yeah.
We have to. We have to go.
Definitely.
Okay. Cool. We will see you guys next week. Thank you for listening. Also YouTube. Watch our YouTube channel. YouTube. That's where you can see us and see.
Like, comment, subscribe.
What we look like.
Click the notifications.
And watch us say weird things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for coming.
See you guys next week.
Bye. Welcome to the spoiler section. Okay. Let's get cracking.
First off, Okay, so Mikasa's saying her whole spiel, you know, trying to get everybody's defeated, thinking they're going to die. They're all out of gas. And she says her line, "If I can't beat them, then I die. But if I win, I live. And the only way to win is to fight." And I thought that was interesting, because I'm not sure if we've seen it yet, but there's a backstory. Did we see that yet?
Her backstory?
Oh.
Yeah, that was episode
we've seen it already.
4 or 5.
Episode 6. It was last episode.
6.
Yeah.
Okay, well then that's not a spoiler, because we've already seen it.
Well, that was just in case there's someone else who, you know, was washing the dishes and was drying their hands and, oh no, I'm going to hear a spoiler. That was a little...
Goodness. But I just thought it was cool how she was taking the rage from what Eren has already like said, and she's kind of learning his like mannerisms and like learning that she also is a fighter. Right. And I thought that was really cool.
That carries into the rest of the series.
Yeah. And even kind of to that whole point where there's no way she can essentially give up on life because of her Ackerman blood, and whether it's actually been activated through Eren, is that she's committed to this command of fighting. And so it's basically her mantra of living now as an Ackerman. She is committed to fight and never give up on her own life. Yeah. And so, I think in a way it opens the door for a spoiler. So I accept it.
I would say that you're talking about her Ackerman blood also comes into the spoiler of why her body was deciding to move when she thought she was like fully going to die before we see the Attack Titan come in and like save her. Because her lines were like, "I've already given up. Like, why do I keep fighting?" And it's because she doesn't even know why she keeps like wanting the will to live or to fight. Right. But it's her Ackerman blood.
And even I think it kind of is like she maybe knows Eren is alive.
Maybe.
Because even when Armin tells her he died, I mean, you think she's like, you know, put up a wall. Maybe she has. That's totally not what like I'm thinking. But yeah, it's like something in her wouldn't let her die because he wasn't dead.
Yes, because that's like her thing is to protect him.
Yeah.
And so her insides, her spidey senses, like you guys were saying, like felt that he was still alive. That's why she kept moving.
Right.
I like that.
Well, and it is interesting to know. I forget if the manga has the same shot, but when she starts to think about Eren's, you know, telling her to fight, that's when the Attack Titan appears, that she starts to remember those memories. So I don't know if it's like an actual association of like proximity and thought.
And when she's having these flashbacks and talking about Eren being dead, it shows him
under the tree,
which is where he is buried. So it shows his like him like lying under the tree. Is it as if he's dead, or is this like her having a flashback of him sleeping?
I think of him probably sleeping, like that's what the common viewer would think, but at the end of the show he is dead under that, you know, buried under that tree. So it's interesting.
I also had kind of a question, or like I don't know if it's like a conspiracy or if it's like 100% correct. At the end of the series, is it actually where Jean and Mikasa end up together?
Yeah.
Okay, so then rewatching this whole like series, I was so shocked I never even got these hints of him having a crush on her or liking her.
Oh, okay.
And so then that's why when I said that quote of like him being like, I never even got to tell her how much I feel about her, I was like, huh? Like I never caught on.
In episode 2 or 3, when they are at the training area and he sees her for the first time, he's like,
she's incredibly beautiful.
Like, I like your hair or something like that, right?
Yeah, he's all flustered by her.
Yeah, so you get a hint, he has a crush on her. And then there's another time too where he kind of does something similar. So, but you don't see anything after that.
Yeah. So it's very interesting, like how that's how it ends up in the end.
Right.
Yeah.
I do think. Are you still talking about that? I was gonna move to something else.
Go ahead.
In the scene that Eren like slaps the Titan's head off, or the attack Titan does, his hand like regenerates nearly instantly, which is not usually how fast they heal. The only other time that we do see that is when like his coordinate abilities are finally being awakened and stuff like that. So I thought that was interesting, and it's kind of done in a similar way where it almost looks like matter is just like fusing into his hand as opposed to a slow, like steamy healing process. So I thought that was really interesting. I'm curious as to like why those two things are like really identical. So
Then we also have the part where Marco wants his death to mean something, but we know how he dies.
I know, it's so sad. And it's so, I just want to bring up so fast is like how you don't hear anybody else say lines like that, being like, I just want my life to mean something. Like they really focus on him being the one to say it like that.
And the next episode too, he says like some really sweet things to Jean. You're like, he's such a good guy. And then
it just breaks your heart when you find out.
For those of you who forgot, basically, Annie, Reiner, and Bertold left him to die with a Titan.
Marco is, let's just say, Marco is more than half the man than anyone else. Because he died by being eaten in half.
Okay. And then there was one other thing. We got a lot of spoilers, but there is this one moment where Annie talks to Reiner and says, is it time to head out?
That's the first time that you really see them.
Yes, you do see that like fighting
kind
scene.
Of combining like forces.
But then
and it's
you
always
see
them
that,
three.
Yes.
And you see that, well, Marco was also next to them.
Yeah. But like for this episode and next episode, those three are always together.
Yes.
And you do see how she kind of is asking him, is it time to go? So you're wondering, okay, are they like, what does that mean? Right. Is that actually like, is this in the moment and she's being legit, or is it actually like code for something of whatever?
Right. Yeah.
Leaving.
I don't know.
Okay. Are we good?
Yeah, for this episode.
Okay, we're going into the next episode after this. And Deanna's going to be on the next one. So thank you for doing this first one.
Of course.
We made it through. And once again, follow us on all the socials. And
repost. Tell your friend.
Tim makes some really funny memes on our TikTok that are literally underappreciated. I think it's the algorithm, because one will get like 14 views, then this one he just posted got like 1,600. And
well, no, that was Instagram, but it got
on
like
Instagram,
400.
which is also random.
Yeah, no, Instagram, it was like I had never gotten anything more than like maybe 250 on like a really
but they're
random
so
post.
funny, and I just
I
just want that for you. Okay, well, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Sasageyo. 9. Okay, so
going into spoilers.
There is a lot of kind of little moments with Reiner and Annie. One of which is when Armin is kind of getting into like describing the plan to lower the pulley system and kill all the 3 and 4 meter Titans. Reiner asks Connie, he's like, do we know anything about this Titan? And he's like kind of very quizzical about it. And because he's trying to figure out of like, he probably has some sort of idea that this is an intelligent Titan, but he doesn't know like who it is.
Yeah.
So he's trying to figure it out.
Of the attack Titan?
He also sorry, there's something else. He also makes a comment like when they're all saying this plan and they're all like wanting to team up with him, and he makes a comment of like, wait, what did I say? Yeah, he makes a comment of like, what's to keep this Titan from turning on us? And I'm like, that's very interesting, because obviously we know that Reiner like turns on everybody else.
True.
And so it's interesting that it's kind of like foreshadowing or like a hypocrite comment of him to say that.
Right. Well, I think too, like around this time is when he is kind of having his split personality moment. which leads in, when Marco dies, that like he cries over Marco dying, but at the same time he's the one who killed Marco because he's having this split personality of the soldier of being being Reiner, but the warrior of being this Marleyan or honorary Eldian, that is trying to find the coordinate. So it's really interesting. You're kind of starting to see that in play.
Yeah, and the fact that he's like, what if it turns on us? He's just kind of confirming that it can, and that it has logic. True. And I mean, they kind of already thought that, but I don't know. That could be something.
Or maybe he's even like just sussing out like the idea, like, okay, well, if this time does turn on us, like, what is your response? Like to see like when he eventually does, how his friends are reacting. So
yeah. Definitely.
So we know that this is the Attack Titan. It doesn't have a name yet. He doesn't have a name.
No, it's just the abnormal.
That's what well, they call it an abnormal. We call it an abnormal.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that this episode is really interesting. Kind of does some foreshadowing. Invests into Marco. I feel like the show probably could have invested into Marco a little bit more before killing him. I never felt super close to Marco, but I felt like there was this like weight of Marco is like the best.
Maybe the manga does more.
I feel like we see like the weight of it in like John's character, like in his like development, because throughout like the whole show, he always is like speaking of Marco's name, like he's the person that brings up Marco's name like the most. And I don't know, whenever something happens, he's like, well, Marco, like be proud, or like I'm doing this for Marco kind of thing. And so I also wanted to touch on like the idea of the last episode of like, we didn't really say specifically, we mentioned how like Marco said he wanted his death to mean something, and like I know we talked about how he does eventually die, but we didn't talk about how he literally dies in the most unmeaningful way ever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's actually very interesting how he was emphasizing, like, I want my life, or like to end it to be meaningful.
Yeah. That was super purposeful by the creators. To be like, his hope is that he knows he's going to die, basically. It seems like he knows, he just wants it to be for a good reason.
He wants to die saving someone, increasing, the chance of humanity or, but, yeah, I mean, but at the same time, in a way, a lot of people rally behind his death. Like, if he had stayed alive, would it have motivated John as much? Would it have inspired Aaron as much? Because I think even Aaron kind of feels like a big loss for Marco. So it's maybe in Marco's eyes, his life maybe meant nothing, but in the inspiration of the life that he did live, and because of the death that did happen, it meant something to everyone.
Yeah,
in a way.
Push them forward.
Yeah,
that's very true. I never thought about it like that. That's really good.
That is true. Good catch. Well done.
Yeah.
Do you have any others?
Yeah. Well, I kind of furthering this like whole Reiner is really outing himself this episode.
I caught those.
Yeah,
what?
Outing himself. But when Annie saves Connie. So in the dubbed version, he says like, hey, like, don't overextend yourself or something like that. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. But in the subbed version, he like more concerningly is like kind of almost getting on Annie's case of like, don't get yourself hurt. Because if she does, she would either probably like be healing or something, like there's an aspect of her Titan abilities that would awaken maybe. So he's kind of like commanding her to like, don't be reckless, like you need to.
True.
So that's kind of little hints and jabs. A lot of
leadership. He has some sort of influence on Annie, even going back to the other episode where she's like, it's the time to get out of here. They're looking to her, and then he's also like telling them things, so you see something. No one would catch it watching it the first time.
No,
that's why when we're rewatching it, we're noticing all these things. We're like, oh my gosh, it's like so obvious. But
well, I think in like season 4, when it kind of goes into Reiner's backstory a little bit, it goes through these earlier episodes, and how Reiner has this dual personality, and how Reiner wants to make something of Eren, and how he essentially, or how Reiner wants to make something of himself, and how he reflects Eren in the way that like he has always struggled for to prove himself. He's always struggled. You know, he doesn't necessarily have the natural gifts of Mikasa and Armin's like strategic capabilities, but he kind of wants to step into being strong and being a leader and being a warrior.
That sounds like all of like everyone who like that sounds like Bertold and Annie too.
Yeah, I think they all kind of
Meaning
have their
it's just
own
a theme
moments.
of them trying to prove themselves.
But I think it was always Reiner who wasn't even supposed to become a warrior. You know, he wasn't supposed to ever be on that team, but because shoot, what's his name? The original Jaw Titan that gets eaten, that his brother was going to be selected to be the Armored Titan, but instead essentially bashed on his brother so that he wouldn't be the Armored Titan, and hyped up Reiner so that he could selfishly keep his little brother safe. I'm forgetting the names.
Oh, the one with Gabby, like that. The one with Gabby. I don't remember his name.
It's. I don't know.
My gosh, it's
yeah,
gonna hurt.
this is bad. I'm sorry.
Many names to remember.
Falco. It's not that same family.
Oh.
It's. I want to say it's not Marco, because Marco already belongs, but it's like the kind of that
Okay.
character who becomes the Jaw Titan in season 4.
Marcel?
Yes, Marcel and his brother, the other one. Anyways, this is rough. Everyone's like, what is he even saying?
I can't even imagine.
Porco. Yeah, Marcel dies. Marcel becomes the Jaw Titan. Marcel gets eaten by Ymir. Eventually, Ymir gets taken back to Marley, and Porco eats Ymir, thus becoming the Jaw Titan, and who Falco eats Marco, then to become the final Jaw Titan.
Oh my gosh.
So it's a lot.
I can't imagine when we get to these later episodes how the heck we're going to decipher all of this.
Freaking so good.
I can't even remember it right now. I gotta write it down.
Yeah.
Like the
in
genealogy.
in some ways I wish I was like such a pro, or like, oh yeah, no, Marco or Marcel and Falco and all that, but it's like in some ways it's kind of fun to rewatch it and like rediscover it and be like, oh yeah. So
I'm sure people are either immediately know exactly what we're talking about while we just decipher
while we're like
on the podcast,
which is why you got to send us a freaking email. So
it's
email
like
or message.
Yeah. Saying like listening as a viewer, like it's the hardest thing when you know the answer to like what the podcast is like trying to find, and it's like you're listening screaming like, come on,
you got it. It's Marcel.
Sorry.
Anyways,
going back to spoilers though, I did want to also bring up that Reiner also makes a comment when I think Jean or like somebody was basically saying that like, well, we should kill this like attack Titan, and he makes the comment, he's like, well, what did he say? He's like, we shouldn't we shouldn't let the attack Titan die because he can help us out, like in the future we may be able to learn something from him,
right? And
isn't there, he's here for a reason to capture this attack Titan,
right? They're trying to find the coordinate to like kind of discover the abilities, or like the rumbling and kind of essentially stop it in a way.
And it was like so weird too, because like even if you're watching this as if you've never seen it before, Annie like quickly agrees with him. It's like, oh yeah, we shouldn't kill him yet. And just weird seeing how they both were in agreement so fast.
Yeah.
Like, but this was their mission.
The whole series at this point, they like barely talk to each other. But now suddenly they're in tight cahoots.
Yeah.
So
many things. So many things.
That's it.
Any others?
I think that's all I have. There wasn't a whole lot in the subbed or manga.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Cool.
Thanks for listening in through all of our chaotic figurings out of it all. This is fun. You know, continue. I hope that you're engaged enough that you're yelling at us like, his name is Porco. You know, like it. We want it to be like that. So.
Yeah. And thank you, Indiana, for coming.
Yeah,
of course.
I had 2 episodes.
I had such a fun time. I love just like being able to geek out of like topics that we love.
Yeah.
And finding people who also have the same interests. So
Hopefully
yay.
we can have you back in like season 2.
Yeah.
I would love to.
There will be more to get confused about probably. So
definitely.
Okay, cool. Well, we will see you guys next week for episode 9. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Peace out.
That go on.
Yeah.
Past this moment. Okay,
Such
bye.
as Grisha. Okay, so with the whole key situation, their memories, I think because Grisha has the attack Titan, he understands that he can use the memories of his future inheritors. So that's what I think he's referring to when he says, when he says their memories will serve as a guide.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Definitely. And one thing I wrote was, honestly, when Eren is surrounded by the soldiers, maybe they should have just killed him because
well, yeah. So
he does way more damage than
it was funny because we were talking about this and I made us stop talking about it because we were talking, like, we're watching the episode and we started talking about why they said this, and we're like, we need to stop having this conversation and save it for the podcast. And you brought this up, like, it would have been better just to kill him.
There's so many moments when Eren should have been killed but wasn't, and you realize at the end of the series that he should have, because so many people in reality, 80%,
I think it was 80% of humanity
80% of humanity died
83 or
because of him. And the other Titan, like, there were other Titans too, but he did the main work. And you realize you're rooting for him this whole time to stay alive because you think him staying alive is going to save everyone. Or at this point, you don't really know. But you just want the main character to stay alive. Then you want him to stay alive because they're all trying to fight, the bad guys.
You're talking about season 4?
I'm just talking about throughout the whole series. Okay. I mean, throughout even the second and third season, he is used to help people and to, like, help the whole thing. Then you realize that that's not his main mission,
right?
Or, like, it's gonna inevitably happen, basically. So it's just funny because you're
I made this comment on Instagram where someone said, like, Eren is, we're talking about Eren having freedom or being, like, the savior of humankind, and so I commented that he was humanity's greatest I don't remember what I said. It was a bar, though. Humanity's greatest ally when he was confined to the walls, but as soon as he learned that there was humanity outside of the walls, he was humanity's greatest threat.
Boom.
And it's mic drop. But I think it's true. Like, and you can talk about, like, maybe if they killed him, it would have been better off. But at the end of the day, like, no matter what, we were talking about this, humanity through Isayama's narrative is destructive. And hence we see at the end of the series with, like, essentially the atomic bomb wiping everything out of what's left of Eldia or Paradise Island. Humanity is destructive and will kill itself regardless if there's Titan powers or not. It's humanity's tendency to fight and have war and stuff like that. Freedom is not there.
It's just a cycle.
Shoot. Man, I can't even think anything else. That's good.
Oh, well, the thing with the Titan, the torso Titan at the end is that it had one purpose, which was to stop the cannon.
Right.
That was Eren's point.
Which I feel like that's the only time that we see another Titan, that and, like, Eren picking up the spoon and later in the series, in the season. That's the only time we see, like, a half-baked Titan transformation. You know? Everything else, like, whenever people bite themselves, cut themselves, whenever Titan transformers do that, it's always to their full Titan. This is, like, one of only 2 times that there is the intentionality of transformation that's not just the full attack Titan for Eren, or even, I don't think, like, Reiner does that, or no one really.
That's interesting. Well, I think it's
I think
Bertold
does it too.
On the wall, right? Yeah, he only is a torso.
Oh.
But I thought that was because Armin distracted him. I can't remember too much.
Yeah.
We got it. Yeah. We'll see.
Right.
Yeah. So but also you have to think Eren doesn't know what he is.
Yeah.
Everyone else who becomes a Titan
is trained in it.
Or knows that they are going to be a Titan. and they are exposed to it. This is like, he doesn't know. So whatever he's trying to do,
he's figuring it out.
He's figuring it out.
Yeah.
So that's like his first time doing that, and he half did it.
Yeah.
Half of the time.
Right.
So yeah,
all
any
on
other parts?
instinct. All on instinct.
Yeah, it's like
he
the
didn't
objective.
intentionally know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they talk about that your first transformation after becoming a Titan is rough. Like you don't really have control, and you see that with Falco. That's the younger one. Yeah, Falco. And really any other times they talk about it as like your first transformation, you don't really have control. You're kind of just going chaotic. And you see that with Eren when he first intentionally transforms to pick up the boulder. He nearly kills Mikasa, you know. So
Dang, so much is gonna happen.
It's a long journey, but it's a good one.
It's a long journey. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did we miss anything?
That's a good one. I don't think so. Yeah. Jinx, you owe me a soda.
Okay, so lame. Continuing. Just making fun of you. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for listening. A lot of things going on, and will continue to go on. Yeah. It's like, I feel like at the beginning we had a little bit, like there was an episode that was a chill episode, you know, not too crazy, developing characters. Now it's just every episode's going to be crazy stuff. Yeah. It just never ends. It's like a fever dream.
Love this show.
Love the show.
Long live this show.
Sasageyo.
Give your hearts. Like, comment, subscribe. I don't know.
We went back to our pre-coffee days.
The adrenaline is worn off.
It's gone. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next week for episode 10. A lot of things going on in that one. Yes. So make sure you watch it before you listen. Or we'll spoil stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, and have a great rest of your week.
Amen.
Amen. Or
Goodbye.
if you're binging this, see you literally in 5 minutes or whatever. I don't know.
Okay.
All right. Bye. Okay. Pixis. Okay. Here, I'll start us off. So I read that whole thing.
Yeah, Tim, you didn't even say was. You said is when you said it.
Because it says is in the manga.
Oh, but it says was in the thing?
In the show, it says Pixis was the highest ranking officer of the southern region. Which, granted, like grammatically, that could be correct. But they still said was. And we do know that the person narrating the story is Armin.
And we know that Pixis becomes a Titan.
And dies. So... is that spoilers or is it just grammatically correct? I don't know. I like to think it's a spoiler.
Yeah. Oh, and then the guy who was freaking out at the beginning.
Daz.
Okay, explain that scene.
So
who he is.
In season 4, when Connie and Armin are at the boats at the dock trying to release the boat or trying to get the boat going, Daz and another soldier are the ones who are on Flock's side. Like, he's a Jaegerist, so they're trying to, like, Connie, Armin, why are you trying to stop Eren? And ultimately, Connie and Armin are the ones who kill Daz. Yeah. And it just shows, like, I didn't realize that until, like, I think
Tim
I saw it
like,
on Instagram.
Oh, I thought that you noticed in the episode, because you were like, wait, that's the guy that goes against both of them when Connie's the one, or no. Oh, no, it's Marco who's consoling him. Yeah. But it's just crazy that they brought that character all the way to the end.
Right. It's been a comrade for literally so many years.
And you see that he's so unsure and scared. And then, but when he's going against Connie and Armin, he's like confident and willing to die to not let them move the boat. Yeah. So it's an interesting.
And he made it like all the way to the end, which is really.
And he ends up getting killed by Sasha them. Did. Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
That was mean. Okay, what else? It wasn't a whole lot.
I think that's really it. Okay, flowers. I want to hear them.
AJ.
Okay. So, yeah, when I first saw this show, these flowers were on my big to-do list of like, oh, yeah, I need to see how these, play out into the final, theory of the show. Yeah. So, as you say, they don't appear in the manga, and other people have stated that too. They only appear really in the show. Mm-hmm. There are 2 threads that I've found about it that actually give somewhat of an explanation. Okay. And on this first one, I think it's really you kind of see this in the moment. But it just is kind of like symbolism of Aaron's powers and that he's able to use it to protect his friends, but also in a way like you can use it for such destruction. So it's just like kind of calling back to, I think Indiana may have said it on a previous episode, but there's a lot of beautiful things in the midst of this cruelty.
Okay.
So it's kind of a callback to that.
What if in a way it was like to comfort them?
Right. So it's meant for like good intentions and like knowing that
outside is crazy right now, but
this is a haven.
here's some flowers to comfort you.
Right. But this is where I think the theory is probably the best.
Okay.
This is what somebody else said.
Okay, good.
And these threads have been actually, I don't know if this is after the final episode. These aren't that recent. They're within like maybe 7 months. This one I think makes the most sense in my mind, and this is what I'm going to use to justify it, is that the purple flowers are known as bellflowers, which the actual name are Hananira, and these both appear in both studios' adaptations of the show. So in the first season, I think it was the one studio, and then after that, they used a different studio to make the rest of the show. Okay. I don't know when they switched. But we can see purple petals when Aaron enters Paths and recalls the episode 1 memory, which was reanimated by the new studio. You will see the purple petals. The purple petals are used in promoting merchandise for Mikasa. Like when they're selling things, like they use purple petals for all of like the stuff symbolizing Mikasa, and like merch and, you know, backpacks and shirts and all that stuff. In the first show, or in the show that inspired Isayama to make AoT, the purple flowers appear in the show. It's called Muv-Love. And it's also mentioned in the floriography that they are Saint Paulia's, which means a delicate love.
Oh, so it's like his love.
As his Aaron's love for Mikasa. As we continue to go on with this, Yuki Kaji, who I'm not sure has a part in, like, I don't know his exact role in the show making process, but mentions that Hananira symbolize a sad farewell and enduring love.
Dang.
The flowers only appear when Mikasa and Aaron are present.
Are these by the tree?
I'm not sure. Well, because in the first episode, when he's recalling episode, like the memory, when he's sitting at the tree and Mikasa comes up to him, the flowers appear.
Oh,
like the petals, the purple petals appear. And this is the last one that I think really sums up the whole thing. Is that Kaji mentions the date that those flowers were founded, which was February 10th, the same date as Mikasa's birthday. So in all, I believe that the purple flowers are a way that, because when in the past, in like the final episode, you see that Armin and Zeke pull up the leaf in the baseball. In the past, you're able to pull up things that are like a collective memory that create joy just for the sake of loving life. And I believe that Aaron uses the purple petals as a way to symbolize between him and Mikasa that everything that he does in this life is for their relationship and their love.
Dang.
Wow.
And that's what I'm going to finalize, because these are still
that's good.
These are still not like the most current. Like these aren't like from theories 3 months ago or whatever.
Yeah.
The show's done.
Yeah.
So we have all the answers now. We've seen everything.
Right.
But now that I know the final ending, this is what I really think. There's also there's a mix-up between the dub and the sub, specifically for the season 1 scene where Armin mentions those flowers weren't there before.
Right.
And the mix-up is that, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. But in the sub, Armin says, I can't find it. Anyway, in the sub, Armin mentions like, oh, it's not like, oh, those flowers weren't there before. But it was, like Aaron saved these flowers. So it was like before they weren't there before. But in the sub, the flowers were there the whole time.
They were there and
before he transformed.
Okay,
Gotcha.
interesting.
So it's like there's a little discrepancy there, but that was also season 1. I'm still going with my other theory that it's like Aaron used these flowers as a symbolism for Mikasa.
Well, yeah, and I mean, if the flowers were there before, though, like before he turned into the half titan, just under their feet, we probably didn't see them, right? We didn't see them before at all.
No, there was no
but
before.
If he turned into the titan but protected the inside of it, then they would have stayed. So, I mean, that would have been like the most simplest way.
It's a weird discrepancy, and I think personally it just has to do with like when you're dubbing a show, you have to make lip movements very similar to like what you're seeing, and dialogue. So I think that's why there was kind of a mix up there in the translation. So I'm still
changes the meaning for it sure.
It really does, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Those are really good.
I think that I am satisfied with that being the reason.
Right, and that solves all my that gives me satisfaction.
Yeah.
In me searching for answers between these flowers, because there's a lot of people who also wonder the same thing about the flowers, and nobody knows.
No one. Well, I feel like I haven't seen anything about that, and like Instagram right now is always constantly putting up new theories or noticing new things. So we gotta jump on this train.
I know,
and get this out there.
Yeah, we gotta. Yeah.
I think somebody said there's a giant video essay specifically on these flowers.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if I've seen that before, but
yeah, we just got to pay attention to them throughout now to see kind of if that matches up. I mean, I'm sure that they watched it all through, but at least we'll be able to notice and see it for ourselves.
Right.
Yeah. So that is a Sasageyo pod theory.
Yeah.
That we are going with.
We're gonna hold on to that. Yep. That's
hey,
good.
if we ever make merch, it'll be with those flowers.
It'll be with the purple flowers.
And it'll say, "If you know, you know," on the top.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you guys for listening. We didn't have a lot for spoilers.
Good find.
AJ, good find.
Redeemed the spoiler day.
Yeah, we didn't have a lot, but that just redeemed it.
These flowers were the bane of my existence.
Literally.
When I was watching through it, I was like, I swear they're going to show up. They're going to give us answers. And they never did.
Yeah.
And I was so
And you told us
upset.
that. You were like, what's up with the
flowers?
Well,
me too. Like, I remember watching it back in like 2013 or 14 and then just being like, oh, what the heck? Like, these flowers symbolize something. Like how Eren actually has healing powers or like healing with nature. But no, nothing. So I like that. That's good.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you for listening to this episode. We will see you next week for episode 11.
11.
Okay. Thanks, guys, for listening.
Peace.
Bye.